Yeah, I can't get enough of that. I want to thank Blake Pace for that lovely intro music he made for me about 2 years ago. How are y'all doing out there in Atlanta Bird Gang land today on a Sunday, April 25th, right? Is it April 25th? I think so. Goodness gracious, folks, we are 4 days away from the draft that we've been talking about for the last 3, 4, 5 months. The draft, unfortunately, we were talking about in mid-November because we knew we weren't going anywhere in the playoffs. The draft we've been talking about ad nauseum, basically pulling out knives to decide who was going to cut each other on what pick we were going to have. All of that culminates on Thursday. And as my brother who just left, Brother Tidy, just told you all, we are going to be live in the Atlanta Bird Gang land, also simulcasting for those of you who cannot get into the group. We're going to be on Uncle Steve's Sports Lounge on YouTube. As he said before, please start watching. We're going to be dropping little infomercials and everything about that. Check out the site, an Atlanta Bird Gang. We're going to be live. We're going to be catching you all with the live reaction as we do the games, as we go through the draft, I should say. And we're going to be ready to talk to you guys. As Toddy said, pull up your favorite beverage and come on and enjoy ourselves, man. You can listen. You can watch ESPN if you want to. You can watch NFL Network if you want to. There's nothing wrong with that. But I tell you what you want to do. You want to talk down with some fans. You want to be able to react with some fans. You're going to get on there and somebody's going to say, as Toddy alluded to, the number 4 pick, Jamar Chase from LSU. And while they'll be going gaga on ESPN, we'll be sitting here dogging them out for that particular choice that they had to make. So come on, y'all. Let's all get together and let's do this on Thursday. We will be live starting at 7:30. We are going to be taking phone calls. Unfortunately, today, as you see, I have a new set I had to move to today, so we cannot take phone calls today. I would love to do that, but that doesn't mean you cannot comment in. Continue to comment in. We're going to talk about a couple of things today leading up into the draft. What kind of things are we looking for? I know most of the focus has been on who the number 4 pick is going to be for us. And don't get me wrong, that's very important. But what other positions are we looking for down the road, folks? We got 9 picks. And judging by the salary cap and the way we played last year, we're going to need every single one of those picks to hit. Yes, you heard me say it. 9 picks. I need all of them to hit. All of them can't be starters, of course, but I need them to hit. I need them to pick folks who are going to be on this roster. I can't have any less. You've got to look at it that way. We are still in dire need of young talent on this team because we have most of our salary cap. I know y'all have already heard the situation. We got most of it locked up in Matt, locked up in Julio. There's nothing we can do about that. That's what the old regime did. We got to deal with what we have to deal with. But what is the focus past the number 1 pick in our draft? What's the focus after that? And I think that's where we need to start paying attention to. What do we do after that number 1 pick? Do we go defense? Do we go offensive line? Do we go linebacker? I mean, we have a lot of holes to fill, and I just hope that, everybody realizes that the draft doesn't start and stop on Thursday night. If anything, the draft is truly going to be made that Saturday, because Saturday we have 6 picks on Saturday as of right now, if they don't plan on packaging things up and trading up. But we have 6 picks on Saturday. So stay tuned on that day. But again, we're coming down to it, folks. And look, I know we've argued back and forth. I've had loving conversations with all of you about what we're going to do and who I think we should do. I've heard many of opinions about who everyone else thinks we should take. And I don't have a problem with that. No problem whatsoever. The goal is to get this team back into playoff contention and to stay there. There was nothing more exciting during this franchise history in between 2008 and 2012. And yes, that was the young Matt Ryan era. You were coming in off of 2007. We all know what happened then before that. And you drafted a quarterback to change the fortunes. And I'll even go back further than that. Back in 2001, we had a Super Bowl in 1998. We went down. Our team was going downhill fast, and you drafted a quarterback. Let me take you for a walk back down memory lane. Back in 98, of course, we reached the highest of heights in our franchise by reaching our first Super Bowl in 1998. Fantastic win over Minnesota, probably one of the most exciting, if not the most exciting win in franchise history. The apex of this franchise, we went to the Super Bowl, kind of got embarrassed a little bit. Don't get me wrong. That was a legendary team with John Elway and Terrell Davis, and that was a pretty good team. That was no joke. But then the next couple of years, you start looking at things and you just say, wow, we went downhill fast. And Arthur Blank, thank goodness, came in and took the reins from the Smith folks. And Arthur said, coming in, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm sure he didn't say this out loud, but he's in Atlanta, Georgia. And he said, I need something to excite this fan base. So the first thing he did was go into his bag of tricks and say, you know what, let's trade up and let's bring this guy to town. Now, this guy, who was probably the most polarizing guy in franchise history, was a number 1 overall pick. I argued with somebody left and right the other day, how they were saying, well, if we would have kept our pick, we could have got LT and Drew Brees if we would have done it. There's no way to know what we would have done with both of those picks. We may not even pick Drew Brees. You never know. But we picked this guy right here. And I'm going to tell you what this guy did. This guy came in and immediately, even being on the sidelines, waiting for Chris Chandler to finally break down 100%, brought us a little bit of hope, a little bit of stir of what was coming. And if you remember, he came in, I think it was the 15th game of the year. And then by the 16th game of the year, he started that last game. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that was against Miami. Was he great? No. But it was something to look forward to. And it got the fans hyped. And going into the next year, that guy took us to the playoffs. Kind of by itself, but also with a pretty good running game as well. That's what you do with top 5 picks. They come to charge up your franchise. We all know the history. We know what he did. We know he took us to the NFC Championship game and then had the indiscretions off the field. We get that. And so that came to our second time that we had a top 5 pick in the draft. And then we brought in this guy. This guy here not only reinvigorated a crowd that was already down by what had just happened on the offseason, this guy took us to sustainability that we had never had in the history of the franchise. 2008, 2009, first back-to-back winning seasons ever in franchise history, and went on to string together 5 straight winning seasons, to include 4 playoff appearances, 2 division titles, 1 NFC championship appearance. After a couple of down years, we came back in 2016 with his best year ever, took us to the Super Bowl and almost to the NFC Championship one more time in 2017, one pass away. He was an overall top 5 pick. I don't think it's a coincidence that both of these young men at the time were quarterbacks. And it's also a time in our franchise when we needed a spark. We needed a fire. As much as we keep talking about, listen, in 2001, our defense was not that great. And somehow, some way, the energy of what was happening on offense fed to the defense. In 2008, we didn't have the greatest defense. Matter of fact, we kind of piecemealed the defense together the same way we're doing this offseason with a rookie quarterback and granted a strong Michael Turner. But for all the talk of you need a top 10 defense and whatever, we had 5 straight winning seasons. I don't think any of those years we had a top 10 defense. But it was just that different feeling, that different thing going on that just let us, it was something that just changed, y'all. And for me, I like the idea of switching things up a little bit. I have been told on several occasions how, the thought of bringing in another quarterback when Matt Ryan has so much more to give. I just don't understand that. You are trying to pump life back into this team. For all I have heard from 2018, we need to help Matt with one piece. 2019, we need to help Matt with one piece. 2020, we need to help Matt with one piece. Well, dang it, when is Matt going to help himself? At some point, the franchise needs a little stirring. We talked about it last week. Terry Fontenot was brought in to do that. Now, your guess is as good as mine as what we're going to do the next day, what we're going to do on Thursday. But if I had the controls, even knowing Matt Ryan's going to be here, no argument, you get your next quarterback for this franchise. You set this franchise up just in case for the 4th year in a row, you can't overcome some of your quarterback's deficiencies. I'm not saying Matt Ryan is the bottom dweller. I'm not saying Matt Ryan is the only blame for our losing. But I am saying this is stale. You bring a new quarterback in there. See how things change. See how it changed when this cat came in there. Did we have any stars with him? Absolutely not. Who was starring with Michael Vick when he was on the team? And Warrick Dunn was good, but Warrick Dunn wasn't a star. When this cat came on the scene, he didn't have Julio. And for those of you ready to say Roddy White was all pro when Matt got there, he was not. It took him a minute or two. But it reinvigorated this franchise. As a fan, that's what I want. I have seen every tape, every prospect list and all of that. Kyle Pitts is nice. Kyle Pitts is going to be a good tight end. Shoot, he might be generational. You never know. But does this team need a tight end? Do we need a tight end of that caliber? When I'm watching I'm sitting here watching my quarterback deteriorate right in front of my eyes. I don't. I think Kyle Pitts is nice. And I think in a whole nother world, if you were talking about 2000, I don't know, 2016, and we didn't have Austin Hooper, and we just came off a playoff appearance and we need a tight end, I'd grab him up real quick. But you were 4-12 for a reason. You were the worst team in the NFC. Worst. And if I hear one more announcer talking about they weren't really a 4-12 team, yes, we were a 4-12 team. 4-12 is 4-12. So when I look at that and I keep thinking about these excuses that we keep making for ourselves, folks, reality check. Bring somebody in here to push Matt. I say preferably bring somebody in a top 4 or 5 caliber. Now, I'm not going to be upset. I'm saying all this. I'm not going to be upset if they do whatever they need to do to make this team better. But if I keep hearing this notion that all we need to do is build around Matt, we've been saying that for the last 3 years. And if it was that easy, it would have been done. We need Matt to step his game up himself. He's going to have one more year. Nobody's trying to ship him off yet. He still has 2021. I am well aware of the cap for anybody ready to throw. But Steve, he has a $48 million guy. I know this. I knew this when it first happened. I got it. I get it. The guy who came in here made a habit down there with Mickey Loomis on manipulating the salary cap and kept Drew Brees in our back pocket, getting on our nerves for the last few years. Every year they kept saying Drew Brees was killing the salary cap, and every single year, by hook or crook, they would end up bringing somebody else in. So it can be done. I don't want to hear about, we're going to keep Matt, and it's nothing you can do about it. I don't want to hear that. Not today. So it's 4 days left, folks. What do we do? I'm on YouTube as well, Uncle Steve's Sports Lounge. I see Daniel's in the house saying we're taking Pitts unless there's an offer that blows us away. Brother Dave is in here, said that would be so Atlanta. Join the real show. Listen, again, and Daniel, I'm telling you, I'm not going to lie to you. Daniel is somebody I like talking football with a lot. And I noticed we're on the different ends of the street on this one, which is fine. I only say this, Daniel. If Pitts come in here, and I'm going to echo my predecessor, Tidy, who's also going to be here Thursday with us live. Please check us out, y'all. Live here on YouTube and Atlanta Bird Game. If they pick Pitts and the Falcons go any less than 9-8 or 10-7, I'm going to be disappointed. Because if we pick Pitts, my offense better score 10 more points. He better get at least 10 touchdowns at the position. And that better improve my offense tremendously. Because if you're going to get a tight end, no one gets a tight end in the top 5. I had a whole back and forth last night with our dear brother, Eddie Thompson, who was sitting there trying to make Vernon Davis into a Hall of Fame tight end because he was drafted at number 6 in a weak draft. You don't draft tight ends in the top 5. You don't. It's a stretch in the top 10, depending on who it is. I do like the little kid, the guy from Detroit. I like him, Hawkinson. I like him. But you don't draft a tight end that high. It makes no sense, especially for this team. And for all those ready to talk about, well, Steve, if we don't try for tight end, why would you want to draft a quarterback? We got a quarterback. Have you seen our quarterback for the last 3 years? 12,000 plus yards. Yes, throw that in my face all day. 18 and 30. Culminating with 4 and 12 last year. It's time for a change. Daniel says, no matter who we draft, Steve, no, I always buy the first round picks jerseys. I know Green Bay can't come. Aaron Rodgers deficiency. Daniel says, if Julio Jones ain't going to be here much longer, you got to take Pitts. All right, let me go over to my buddies in Bird Gang. Frank says, rides up. Santana rides up. Brandon, Steve, what's going on? What's going on, Brandon? Frank says, second round pick, my opinion. We go defense, pass rush, or cornerbacks. David Stark, how you doing, brother? Second round, we need cornerback help. Third round, I have a little different perspective. We need to go wide receiver. Calvin will be ready to take on the number 1 spot. I don't think his number 2 is on this roster. Hoping Terrence Marshall, LSU, is still there. What's going on, Ron? And here's the thing. When you start talking about that is something to start thinking about later, possibly, wide receivers. But I almost wonder, this is a deep wide receiver draft. We're definitely not going to take anybody in the first round. You better not take anybody in the first round. What's going on, Sean? How you feeling, brother? Orion says, do you think Jamie Newman fit our offense? And if so, could we kill 2 birds with 1 stone by drafting Pitts at 4 and Newman later on? Because I think he will still be available. Now, Newman is going to probably be available. And he had a good little tape from Wake Forest when he left. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm probably feel a little personal about Mr. Newman because he let the Bulldogs down when we kind of needed him. Now, I say let him down. I mean, he made his own decision, so I'm not going to get into whether you should have played during COVID. That I shouldn't say that. But it should be something interesting to see if they do not end up taking a quarterback in the first round. There will be a quarterback pick for the Atlanta Falcons in this draft. We only have 1 quarterback on the team. Brother Jaqual, how you doing, sir? Say Fields or Wilson or Pitts. Anybody else is an experiment. I'm on the Fields or I'm on the Fields or Lance. Both myself. And when you talk about being an experiment, listen. Whoever comes in is probably going to have to. It's funny to me how, which is a whole nother story, when you start talking about how everybody just assumes that Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson and Mac Jones are just going to come in, start right away, and change the world. I think any of these quarterbacks is going to need a year or so to get their act together before you start reaping the fruits of that labor. As we talked about several times here, Matt Ryan, Russell Wilson, those are the last 2 quarterbacks to have sustained success from the beginning of their rookie year and keep it that way. Have to remind me what Andrew Luck's record was when he started, but I don't think Andrew Luck was a rookie and jumped right into the winning fray. I think he waited. I think it was the next year when he did that. Dave says, some thinking by drafting a developmental quarterback, it will prolong Matt's time in Atlanta. Whether it be Lance or Fields, I think the clock is ticking on Matt. And I got news for y'all too. Say, for instance, if you do draft Fields or Lance, as I'm hoping they do, who's to say, even with the money being made, what if Arthur Smith says, you know what? I've seen all I need to see. I think Fields gives us a better chance of winning. I think Lance gives us a better chance of winning. Now, in this COVID environment, I think that's the only downfall because they're not going to have a lot of time together as they usually do. And I'm pretty sure Matt Ryan isn't going to be bringing the backup quarterback to family vacations, trying to keep him up on the playbook as he's trying to take his job. But who knows? Maybe Arthur Smith comes in and says, you know what? This rookie needs to start. I know we're paying Matt. I didn't sign Matt to this much money. I didn't do it. You're giving me talent. I'm supposed to turn this talent into a winning organization. My gut tells me Justin Fields is the best quarterback to take us there. Trey Lance is the best quarterback to take us there. What if that happens? Are we going to be upset? You shouldn't be. I mean, all right, Brother Daniel, we'll catch you later on, man. Jaquel says, nope, Luck started right way, got smacked in the face, and then came back killing. That's what I thought. I couldn't remember whether he was, but I mean, somebody show me after Matt Ryan, which I'm going to give Matt Ryan credit for. Matt Ryan came out the gate, literally shooting. First pass was a touchdown, Michael Jenkins. First pass. 5 straight winning seasons is nothing to sneeze at for a young quarterback. And he didn't peak too soon. Listen, the average quarterback was staying like 10 to 15 years. Every quarterback isn't Tom Brady. We can't go by that standard. Tom Brady is a total different phenomenon. That's for sure. So stop the comparisons to Tom Brady. But what I do think is going to happen is that the Falcons are not going to compromise. I hear everybody saying, Falcons going to make a trade. Falcons going to make a trade. They're going to trade with Denver. They're going to trade with New England. I hadn't heard a peep. That's not trying to say it won't happen. I say that, and then later on this evening, they end up making a trade. But I'm also not going to be upset, because the end game is I need my team to win. I need my team to get back to winning football. There is no special elixir. There is no certain pill. There is no other remedy for getting the fans back until you start winning. And I know it's easy because everybody wants to, the fans in Atlanta, y'all are so this and this. Dude, that's every fan base is like that. Go to Cincinnati. Go to Cincinnati and see what the vibe is there. Go to the Chargers and see what the vibe is there. Shoot, you probably could still go to Cleveland right now and see what the vibe is. I'm telling you, it's the same way. Sean says, I hate that everybody thinks that Matt is TB12 as far as quarterback play length. And, Sean, it gets so annoying. Matt Ryan has probably outlasted what the average quarterback does in his career. And to Sean's point, you can't compare him to Brady. I'm in one of those clubs. Not going to put them on blast, put the people on blast, because I think our admins are some of the best admins, and their opinions are not just tied to trying to appease somebody. They're going to give their opinions. But I'm in another Falcon group where everything is happy, happy, joy, joy. And if you criticize the Falcons, you're this demonstrative character that is trying to bring divide. And I just say to myself, how do you keep going on again and again, just accepting this? It's bad enough that, look, this fan base was tortured 4 years ago. Absolutely tortured. The least they can do in this organization is try to step up their game to get us the folks who can turn this thing around quickly. Is Kyle Pitts somebody who's going to turn this around quickly? Listen, if this was last year and Chase Young was available, I probably would have jumped all over that. You see what he has done for that team? I'm talking about those type guys. There is nothing that Kyle Pitts is going to add to this team except a couple more touchdowns, if the quarterback can not take a sack. So I need generational players. Dave said it's sad that people resort to the same tired nonsense, that people hate Matt Ryan. It's lazy. It's ridiculous. Lazy is a perfect word. Super lazy. Go to Philly. They won the Super Bowl years ago. Those fans are loose. Listen, I know 2 Philly fans now that are mad. And you know what I say? I'm saying to myself, didn't y'all just win the Super Bowl 3 years ago? Because they aren't complacent. They aren't being complacent. They're like, dude, yeah, we just won, but dog, bruh, you giving away games to Washington last year. That's the kind of fans. Those are real fans. They're like, what have you done for me lately? Billy Ray, unless they give a king's ransom, they are not moving from that spot. The draft starts at our pick. Me personally, I'm going with gaining more picks, but if Fields is there, you can't pass that up. Billy Ray, I'm not even, I don't think I'm going to change a word you said. Because I agree with you. Listen, if the haul is huge, and I mean huge, you're going to have to give me, at this point, with less than a week left in the draft, you need to come with me and say 4 picks. And 2 of them better be first and second round. Or 3 picks in a legitimate player with a good contract, because obviously we can't pay anybody. But other than that, you're right. The draft basically starts at our pick. Because I think nobody knows. And if you're Terry Fontenot right now, you're in the catbird seat. Boy, you are sitting pretty. You should be sitting there saying, oh, yeah, I'm in the best position because everybody needs to come to me. Denver's calling me. New England's calling me. Who else they were talking about? Somebody else, another team they were talking about calling. And I don't have to make a move. You got to come to me with the right stuff. Or I'm just going to keep my number 4 pick. There is nothing to get. There is nothing for the Falcons to lose to wait until game day if they were going to make a trade. Nothing. So if I'm Terry, I hold on to it. Orion says, correct. If I'm wrong, isn't Trey Lance coming from a Division II school where the players are less talented and game is slower? That's my only issue with Lance. The only thing I say about that is he came from the same division that Josh Allen came from too. And Carson Wentz 2 years ago, falling off a little bit. Talent is talent. If you have talent, you can be taught. Steve McNair, you have talent, you could be taught. If you have talent and you're willing to listen to coaches, listen to NFL coaches, which none of those guys are in a position not to listen to them, you can be taught. Trey says, so the 49ers have made their choice. They haven't, but I see what you're saying, Trey. Maybe the draft is starting at San Francisco because they haven't made their choice. I was seeing what Billy Ray's point was, but if you think about it, it probably does start more with San Francisco. San Francisco is playing it smooth too. If you're John Lynch, why am I giving my hand away? I'm going to go to Trey Lance's pro day. I'm going to go to Justin Fields' pro day. I'm going to go to Zach Wilson's pro day. Shoot. Matter of fact, I'm going to check out Kyle too. They probably did. What reason do you have to show your hand? Zero. It's poker, man. You got to have your poker face on. Don't give away your whole game plan. Absolutely. Dave, not Josh Allen, but Carson Wentz. Oh, okay. Yeah, Josh Allen. Josh Allen was Wyoming, right? Was that number? Is that FCS? Is he FCS? Maybe. Positive Love. What's up, fam? How you doing, Positive Love? Can someone please help me understand the term generational player? Yeah, I've heard that so many times when you start talking about Kyle Pitts. To me, it's somebody who is going to revolutionize the position. This is Steve's definition. This is the Webster's Steve Johnson definition. A generational player to me is somebody who's going to come in, and I think they're going to change the way the position is played. Moving to sports, thinking about Shaq, when Shaq came in. Changed the way the center position was played, moved it back. Steph Curry changed the way we thought about the three-point shot. Those type dudes, not people that are just talented, but people who are supposed to be like, that is the next dude. My only thing about that with tight end is I look at my man Kittle in San Francisco. And I don't think he was top 5. I know Kelsey was a number 1 pick, but he wasn't top 5. So what is making me so gaga about this guy? Because all I keep hearing about is his measurables. I know he's 4'4". I'm not sure if I want my tight end being 4'4" anyway, because I need him to hold a block first. But yeah, I don't get that. I don't. David says, from the reports I've read, we received calls about the 4th pick, but Fontenot has been asking for the world and then some, which tells me we are not trading the pick. Trey said, do buy this seizure stuff with Fields. Now, the only thing I say about that is I know with epilepsy, they do have medicine that could, that will help in that situation. I don't want to, totally make a judgment because each person is different. The mere fact that it took us right up until the draft, I mean, post 6 touchdowns against Clemson, post playing with a hip pointer against Alabama, post killing the Big Ten for the last 2 years. Now, all of a sudden, we hear about this. Am I supposed to jump up and just stop what I'm doing? It's very reminiscent of McGarry when McGarry had the heart thing that went down. And since he's been back, McGarry has not been horrible. Matter of fact, I'm looking for McGarry and Lindstrom to have a really good year this year. 2 years in the program, now it's time to raise up. So I'm not overly concerned. Medicine is way too good, and they monitor these guys so well these days. I'm not thinking that's as big of a deal as you think. David says Wyoming is in the Mountain West Conference. It's that group of 5 of FBS. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. So, but that being said, let's not act like Wyoming was considered one of the top programs in the country, and especially a program where you look at finding your next quarterback. I guess so. That was my main point. Positive Thinking says team Fields, first quarterback, second offensive line, third running backs, fourth defensive end, fifth through sixth best players available. Again, the Saturday is where we're going to make Saturday is what's going to help build our team, because you have 6 picks on Saturday as of right now, unless we make some jumps and moves. Cam says, like I've been saying over in the last few weeks, Pitts reminds me of O.J. Howard and Darren Waller based on measurables. I love the fact that the young man seems like he's built to play the game. I am not trying to sit here and tell you, especially playing an SEC schedule, that he doesn't have the potential to be good or even great. But with the Atlanta Falcons right now, the Atlanta Falcons, contrary to belief, folks, we are not in a one piece away situation. We are not in a position where we're like, oh, all we need to do is get this and we're playoff bound. That's when you get a tight end. To me, that's when you get a wide receiver. Now, the difference between a quarterback right now is that, yes, everything everybody's been saying about Matt is true. Matt is owed a ton of money. Somehow, one way or the other, it's going to get figured out. We'll deal with that later. But Matt is 36. And back like we were talking earlier, Matt is not Tom Brady. We need to start thinking about our future, folks. And I don't care if Matt gets mad. I don't care. I want him to get mad. Maybe that'll make him start playing better. And 4,000 yards does not equate to playing great. Ask Deshaun Watson, who threw for 4,900 yards last year and was 4-12. That doesn't. Rusty says Pitts, Fields, or Lance. Anyone besides them 3 at number 4, and I would be disappointed. Talk to you, but hey, brother, be good, Rusty. We'll be here Thursday. As Rusty was reminding y'all, I'm gonna keep saying it again. We're gonna keep rolling, but Thursday, join us, Atlanta Bird Game. Myself, Tidy, Marcus, Nicholas, Brian. We will all be here on Thursday, 7:30. Please check us out in Atlanta Bird Gang. If you cannot get in, tag some other folks too, man. We're going to try to put this thing out and try to do this thing real good, man. Local guys talking local stuff, whatever the Falcons are going to do. Let's do that. Dave, are Falcon fans really going to be okay with trading major draft capital in the coming years to get their guy? I don't know. I don't think so. It kind of depends. It depends on how to. Christian Graham, what sports bar are you going to be at Thursday? Christian, I wish we were at our sports bar, but this is what we're doing, Christian, just in case, so everybody can know what we're doing. We are going to be live here in Atlanta Bird Gang. If you cannot get in Atlanta Bird Gang or know somebody who would like to get in and see, they can also go publicly to YouTube. On YouTube, it will be Uncle Steve's Sports Lounge in YouTube, free. We are going to be live virtual, Christian. Bring your drink, bring your whatever drink y'all have, bring your food. We're going to talk local. We're going to keep it local and have our live reaction to each pick as it's going on that night, especially a lot of talk about what we do with that pick for Atlanta. Joseph Evans says Ice is not going to play into his 40s. I don't think Ice is going to play to 38. I really do. And somebody was talking about this too, Joe, as we were talking about this. Matt Ryan, with the right team right now, probably has a better chance of making the playoffs than he does with his team. I put Matt Ryan on Chicago right now. they have a pretty legitimate chance to win. I put Matt Ryan last year with the Rams before they end up getting Matt Stafford. I think they go to the playoffs. So Matt Ryan isn't done, but I think Matt Ryan's time here is probably on the end. So find your predecessor. Armani, nobody cared about getting mad. We're not in the business of making people happy. We're in the business of winning. I've said that several times. And you know what? We're going to tick some people off. There are going to be some ticked off people no matter what. And I'm going to make a vow right now that if I'm upset on draft day, which is fine, there's no problem with being upset on draft day. If I'm upset on draft day, the next couple of days, I might vent, but I am going to be down with whatever position the team is going on. So if the team says we're marching forward in this direction, that's the direction I'm going to go in. Because I'm a Falcon fan first. I'm a Falcon fan always. Christian says, sound good, Steve. I hope we all buying quarterback jerseys Thursday night. That makes two of us, brother. That makes two of us. Dave said, I wouldn't go nowhere near a sports bar. Hey, have your stuff here. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna be on. We're also gonna be taking phone calls. You see the phone going across the 1-877-747-2346. That number will be live on Thursday. Unfortunately, we don't have the phone lines. We had to move locations today, but we will definitely be live. We will be taking your phone calls. We will be getting all your reactions that day. So again, be like Dave, be like Positive Love, be like Daniel. Join us on YouTube. Join us on either my personal page or on the Atlanta Bird Gang. Please spread the word and let everybody know, because that's what we're going to be doing during that time. Going back to as far as defense is concerned, I think what we do for defense, I heard Tidy say something, and again, I truly hate agreeing with him to a certain extent, because I want us to be on different ends. Me and him used to fight all the time about Devontae Freeman, but from a defensive standpoint, I think you're correct from a defensive end standpoint. I would get my defensive ends in the third round and below. And I'm going to tell you why. You have a new regime in here. You also have Dean Pease, who is one of the better defensive innovators in the last decade or two. If it's going to be anybody that come in here and coach some young guys up, he's one of the best candidates. And what better group of people to bring in here than some good defensive ends so we can get after the quarterback? Because, folks, that's something we just have not done. We haven't done it since our friend Vic led the league in sacks. We have not done that. We have to improve that. If we plan on making it anywhere, we have to get past a pass rush in our defense. We got to. Got to get a dance partner with A.J. Terrell. I was here 1 year ago, and if anybody remembers, when we drafted A.J. Terrell, I was saying that was one of the worst picks we ever made. 8 Crow all season. A.J. turned out to be a very good player for us. So I think we should be good with the defensive players a little later. Now, I also am not naive about this running game situation. We did make the move to sign hometown Stevenson guy, Mike Davis, in here, which is great. But I don't think he was meant here to be long term. So you need to get one of these young guys coming out. Who are you guys looking at for running back? We've heard the names: Williams, Harris, Etnan. We've heard all the names. Who are you guys looking at the running back position? I've been checking out. I think Troy Sermon is somebody who you could maybe sneak in here. I love what he did for Ohio State at the end. And he should be pretty fresh because he really wasn't running the ball that much earlier in the year. He started running because the other guy got hurt. That would be somebody that I would really consider coming back up in here. Dave, I keep hearing people say we winning now. I need to know what winning now means. I'm not interested in fantasy football, Steve. I can't stomach that nonsense any longer. I am for if Kyle Pitts helped us win, okay, let me start the scenario. If we were 10-6 and our tight end position was lacking, and we were going into the next year with the majority of the team we have, I would love to draft Kyle Pitts. But because we're at a crossroads, folks, we're at a crossroads. Get that right. We need to get folks that are getting ready to change the way we do things around here. A 2020s quarterback, folks. Look at the teams. Look all around the NFL. Look to what the quarterback position is trending into, folks. It doesn't take a genius. We're not telling you to get Mike Vick 2.0. Not a soul has suggested that. I know that's what some people want the conversation to be. Oh, y'all just want Vick again. No. I didn't say I wanted Vick again. But I do want a quarterback that can at least have the ability to escape when somebody falls at his legs instead of just crawling up and going into the fetal position. You've got to have somebody here that is ready to move outside that pocket and make some plays. Why do you think they're suggesting the quarterbacks that we have that they have out there? Why do you think they're suggesting the Fields and the Lance? Why? Because despite 4,500 yards a year, we're still not getting any better. We got to improve that lot. Toddy says Elijah Mitchell from Lafayette is a sleeper running back in the late rounds of the draft that no one is talking about. And you know what? It's so funny you say that. One of the guys from the other group told me about Mitchell. And I said to myself, I said, ooh, I need to look at him. And I need to, and if you have anything up there, put something to me on that one, Toddy, because somebody was telling me about him in another group. Elijah Mitchell from Lafayette. Sounds like a winner to me. Brother Charles, how you doing, man? Ron says Najee Harris. Najee Harris sounds good. Khalid Herbert from Virginia Tech is also a sleeper in the late rounds. Charles says, we want Pitts. We want trying to start some stuff, Charles. Cam says, I believe Khalid Herbert is the first running back coming off the board in the 4th round, not earlier. Okay, sounds good. Dave says Mike Davis is a hold the fort guy. As some of these other signings, there's not a quarterback in this draft that reminds me of Vic. There is nobody in this draft that reminds you of Vic when you start thinking about that. And going back to ends that I've actually had my eye on, including right here. My boy Trey McKitty is McKitty or McKitry. Listen, I wouldn't mind putting some love into him if he had a chance to, and see what he has, because we're going to need. I have a sneaky suspicion Arthur Smith is going to come in here and try to run the ball. And if you're going to run the ball, you're probably going to need more help than just the 5 guys up front. They signed the one other tight end who is noticeably a blocking tight end as well. But you've got to run the ball to be successful in this league. You've got to. The best teams do. You've got to run the ball. You've got to be able to push the ball down. You've got to. Alex says, I keep hearing about Javonte Williams. This dude is apparently very, very underrated and could be a huge talent in the third or fourth round. Armani says, Trey Lance reminds me of Russell Wilson. I could go for that too. Russell Wilson was pretty good at Wisconsin when he was there. It was a good job. Dave says, given the state of the team, don't be surprised if an undrafted free agent or 2 or 3 make this team, man. Look, the way our money is structured, you might have about 4 or 5 folks on that team. But I go back to the initial point I was saying when I brought up our buddy Vic and I brought up our buddy Matt. At both times, both were top 5 picks in the draft. Both of them. And the time they made those picks, that was when both times the Falcons were making a change, a switch, a different vibe was going on in the organization. I think it's about time to do that again. There was a mini switch when Smith got out of here and Dan Quinn came in, but that only lasted for about 2 or 3 years. Now that we've got that out the room, now that Dimitroff isn't making the decisions anymore, now we have to start thinking truly, what's next for this franchise? It's got to be, you got to start thinking about it, folks. Whether you got Matt Ryan to sign a T-shirt for you or whether he made a great pass that you remember forever in your life, that's great. But now, make the move before his arm falls off. Make the move before he really goes out. Because what you don't want to have happen is you draft Kyle Pitts in this draft and Matt Ryan goes down. And you turn around and you look on the bench and there's Kyle Trask. And Arthur Smith is sitting down there and they say, Arthur, what's wrong? I got a headache. Why you got a headache? Because I could have drafted Trey Lance or Justin Fields. That's what you don't want to happen. That's what I say. Cam said, Russell was unknown at NC State and didn't get his notoriety until he got to Wisconsin and was able to be showcased. Trey Lance may have that same ceiling. Hey, and again, Trey Lance got there. I'm sorry. Russell Wilson got there at the right time in Seattle. So that was actually pretty good. Brother Macario, how you doing, sir? Anticipating waiting on this draft. Got me sipping off the rocks. Well, Macario, sip some today and then save some for Thursday, brother, because we're going to be right here Thursday. 5 windows, 5 local guys, 5 guys in this group trying to keep it real on draft night at 7:30. So make sure you save some of that brew for Thursday night. Dave said, great point, Steve. I hear people talking about the 4th quarterback historically picked at number 4. Didn't turn out that well. It turned out well for the Falcons. And you know, listen, I've been watching all the facts. Everybody's been bringing up, you know, well, the person who was picked in this position at this time has never turned out to be blah, blah, blah. So what? Ohio State quarterbacks don't do that. So what? I would rather try. I would rather give Fontenot credit for trying to reinvent this franchise as opposed to staying pat and saying, well, let's hope we can get by the next couple of years. Kyle Pitts. I want a gambler at this point. What do you have to lose? The outgoing, you can blame all the financial woes on the outgoing guy. There is nothing Terry Fontenot could have done about he had to make the move to restructure, folks. We wouldn't have money. He had to make that move. So you can't blame him. But wouldn't you want to be that guy, Terry Fontenot, when everybody else in the world is telling him to trade? I've heard more people tell him to trade down more than anything in the world. I want Terry Fontenot to stand his ground and say, you know what? God dang it, I run this franchise. And as the top dog, I say we go quarterback. Unless somebody comes up and say, I'll offer you 2 first-round picks and 3 first-round, something like that. But other than that, hey, I would have to make that move. I feel like that's best right now. Sean said that's what's going to happen. I'm telling you. Folks, we are the last place team in the NFC. You realize we're number 4. The teams around us who had losing records were Jacksonville, Jets, Houston, who, of course, Miami got to pick and then moved back and forth, and then Cincinnati behind us. We were the worst team in the NFC. And I don't even think you're going to get an argument about it. If I'm the worst team in the NFC, and the first thing I'm going to say is, you know what? We're 4-12. I got it. Let's get a tight end. That'll end it. I've never seen a team ever in the NFL that is less than 6-10 go out and say, I'm going to get a tight end. That'll do it. That just doesn't make sense, y'all. Sean says, we go Pitts and Ryan is going to go down for an extended period of time for his first time. Yep. That'll be just our luck, Sean. Soon as Pitts line up for the first time, Matt's knees go down. And then you're going to look over there on the side and see that last person we picked up. Hey, Jake Fromm, the guy we got for a couple of footballs. Come on in here and play. When you had an opportunity to get some solid folks. Makes no sense. Sean and Adrian Walton says, Pitts. Okay, Pitts. I hear you. Hey, I'm not going to dog you for y'all. Listen, if y'all think y'all want Pitts, y'all nice. Go ahead. Knock yourself out. I don't see it. Dub J says, get your quarterback and the rest on defense. I don't have a problem with that plan either. I don't. Cam says, Tampa Bay did it with O.J. Howard, and we all see how it worked out. Yeah, I remember when they got O.J. Howard, and O.J. Howard was fun. Listen, again, we've all heard this story. Vernon Davis, O.J. Howard, they were supposed to be these, as we talked about earlier, generational guys that were going to change the look of tight end when you turn around and it was actually Ertz and Kittle and Kelsey and once my brother got out of his trouble, Waller. But O.J. Howard was supposed to be all of that. And he stunted Tampa Bay for a couple more years. Supposed to be him and Crab Legs was supposed to put up 15 to 20 touchdowns a year. Jameis still trying to eat that W. Eat that W. Come on, man. Come on, y'all. Come on. Sean says, Kellen Mond, Jamie Newton. Listen, I'm going to tell y'all, if there was somebody that I would think about picking up if we don't get a quarterback, because I'm trying to get my mind right on that. We may not. Don't sleep on Kellen Mond, man. Kellen Mond was a not, listen, it's a reason why he's not being mentioned in the top 4 or 5. But as a backup quarterback, which whoever comes is going to be a backup quarterback, folks. I'm not, Justin Fields is not getting drafted to start in 2021. He's probably getting drafted for later. But if there was somebody that I was going to pick up, man, Kellen Mond at Texas A&M, boy, it's nice. And again, the Jamie Newman thing, I'm just a little sour about Jamie because he kind of, left the Bulldogs. Understand, but just a little sour on that. But Jamie Newman actually had a good year at Wake Forest the year before. Charles says Winston is not better than Matt Ryan, though. No, I wouldn't say. See, now, okay, let's say the last 3 years. Now, unfortunately, Jameis had to, he did that to himself in Tampa. I don't think it's ever in the history going to be a quarterback that throw for 5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, of course, 30 interceptions, and then get cut. So, yeah, throwing to the wrong person will not get you any friends. 30 interceptions is a lot of interceptions. I know all of them weren't his fault, but that's a lot of interceptions. But, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, he's not better than Matt, but I would have loved to see Jameis on our team last year, though. I think if I saw Jameis on our team last year, I'm not sure we're 4-12. I'm just going to put it that way. I'll go as far as saying that. Cam says, if the Falcons pick up Jamie Newman, I'm absolutely done with them. Tiny said, never seen a fan base like ours. So fascinated with guys who catch the ball. It's kind of weird also. Maybe, Tiny, when we think about it, and the fan base, I think about Roddy when Roddy got here. And all of the hype and hoopla. Of course, he came during the Vic era, and he was expected to elevate his game then, and ironically turned out to do that more for Matt. We needed a spectacular wide receiver. We needed somebody. And I think for some reason, fans gravitate around that special wide receiver. So when Julio came along, oh my goodness. I mean, you think about it. Julio could have been mayor the first year he was here with his dreadlocks flowing outside his helmet. Julio could have run for mayor and won. And now, of course, we have Calvin taking up the mantle, doing his thing. Calvin had a really good year. I think it's something about these eccentric wide receivers. And granted, Julio's not one. I don't even think Calvin's all of that over the top yet. But it's just something about a exciting receiver that excites. I don't know what Terrell Owens did to make it that way. Tidy says, I could digest Pitts easier if we were to trade Julio or Ridley. And, we talked about it earlier this year. It would not have hurt my feelings to trade Jet. And I love Jet. It would not have hurt my feelings at all if we moved on from Julio Jones, especially if we would have seen the end of that contract. That contract that was forced upon the last regime. We should have signed Julio to 1-year contracts every year. Incentive laden. But we were so busy trying to make him a Falcon for life. We've all heard it before. that we were just beside ourselves. Pay the man, overpay the man. Biggest mistake we made. One of the biggest mistakes. The Matt Ryan thing is a thing of timing, folks. If you're the quarterback of a winning team, you're going to get paid. The thing with Matt Ryan, he waited till two of the best times in the world to do his contract. The first contract was right after the NFC Championship game that they lost to San Francisco. So you thought we were about to go into the next level. And the next extension was coming right off of 2 straight back-to-back Super Bowl / almost to the NFC Championship. I can't get mad at his agent. What is he supposed to do? Well, I'm suggesting that Matt's going to fall off for 3 years. So give him about $20 million this year, $10 million next year, and we'll earn it. No, you get the most you can. So I'm not totally ticked off at Dimitroff, but I wish they would have worked it. I wish we would have gone less years. Like you see what they did with Kirk Cousins' contract in Minnesota when he went to 3 years, but most of it was guaranteed. I can live with something like that. So that way you know exactly what you're going to get each year. You're not playing around trying to restructure money here and restructure money there. That's what you're going to get paid. That's what you do with quarterbacks when they get into their 30s. Everybody's not going to be Tom Brady. Look what Pittsburgh finally had to do. They had to nip and tuck and pull and do everything with the Big Ben thing just to get him to come back one more year. And for those who get upset about the overpaying of the quarterback, I said it last week and I stand by it. The NFL quarterback is the most polarizing position in team sports. More than a starting pitcher, more than a point guard or big-time center in basketball, more than the most expensive outfielder in baseball, more than a center in hockey. NFL quarterback is the most polarizing because you get the blame whether you're doing good or doing bad. You can have 15 straight years of 4,000 yards. But if you don't win, they could care less. And remember, for a long time, the knock on Matt was he couldn't win a playoff game. Remember those days? We were like, get rid of Matt. We can't win a playoff game. Shoot, I'd love to be back at that point where at least we were making it to the playoffs. So the quarterback position is the highest paid, folks. Not going to get around that. And as much as we were mad at that, because at that time, 3 years ago, Matt Ryan was the top paid NFL quarterback. I think Matt right now is and I'm not talking about what his cap number is next year. I'm talking about what his contract was. Right now, Matt Ryan is the number 9 paid quarterback in the NFL. Mark my words, I'm not sure he's going to get to that contract next year. We'll see. Cam says, Pitts reminds me of Jimmy Graham in New Orleans, but at best, but overall, I have a feeling he'll be like O.J. Howard or worse. Charles, what's wrong with having Pitts, Julio, and Calvin? Because Pitts, Julio, and Calvin still going to have the same guy throwing to them and still going to have the same guy getting sacked and not getting the ball to them. That's why. I'm not going to go and get the most expensive gift at Toys R Us if I don't know how to put it together. I'm not going to go and get the most awesome convertible car on the lot and I can't drive a stick. It all sounds good. Pitts, Julio, Calvin. Oh boy, look at our offense. How many years have we been saying that though? How many years have we been the one piece away stuff? Come on, y'all. Stop. Stop the nonsense. We keep doing that. Stop. That's what really ticks me off sometimes. I think everybody gets in love with, and I keep seeing this little meme, and I like, stop putting these dudes in the uniform. Picture of Julio and Calvin and Pitts together, like that's supposed to set the world on fire. Remember last year when everybody was bragging? Everybody on the Falcons is the number one pick, and they didn't get us anywhere. Same thing. Joe says we need another big receiver. He wouldn't be overpaid if we can get the ball to him. Listen, you have a really good receiving core right now. I'm not trying to say if in the 5th round or 6th round there was a receiver that got overlooked or somebody that, a project you want to take, try to see if you can bring them under your wing. That's fine. There shouldn't be a receiver taken any higher than the 5th round in this draft by the Atlanta Falcons. Between Julio, Ridley, Gage, Zacchaeus, Blake, and who's my boy we just signed? We just signed somebody too. He's slipping my mind. Y'all help me. Quintet says you make too much sense, man. These folks don't care. Q, you already know Q. I ain't got to tell you, brother. Good to see you back, man. I got to hear you on the turntables, my brother. Steve, have you ever noticed how the national media loves to give the Falcons toys? Praise Matt when it's convenient, while never including him amongst the best. They always include Matt in the cousin group. And that's so interesting that you say that, Dave. Just so interesting because he's right. I've heard, what's the little show on ESPN in the morning? Mike Greenberg, Get Up. The little kid, the little 4th string quarterback who's on the Orlowski. The Falcons are giving up on Matt Ryan. He's got plenty left. Says the 4th string quarterback. I'm like, we can give Matt Ryan, Odell Beckham, Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, and Julio, but you still got to get the ball to him, and you still got to let the ball go, and you still can't look down your receiver. All these things that people just think automatically, just because you get this particular person, it's going to change overnight. It's not. This is why the quarterback position is so important. Folks, I am not expecting Justin Fields nor Trey Lance to start in 2021. I am not expecting them to make a significant contribution in 2021. What I am expecting them to do is learn how to be on an NFL team, learn from one of the best professional quarterbacks in the NFL, and get their NFL sea legs under them. That's why you get your quarterback now. We've talked ad nauseum about the predecessors. We talked about the Russell Wilsons. We talked about the Aaron Rodgers. We talked about the Patrick Mahomes. All those guys sat first. All those guys waited their turn. I think, did I say Russell Wilson? I didn't mean Russell Wilson. I meant Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. I think that's it. Maybe I did say that. But that's the blueprint these days, folks. Trevor Lawrence is in a whole different situation. Jacksonville needs Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence needs Jacksonville. The New York Jets situation is a little tricky because they had an opportunity to stick with Darnold. They decided to move on. So sounds like they're in bed with Zach Wilson. That's so be it. But contrary to what I had said earlier about the draft starting at 4, the draft probably starts at number 3. Depends on what John Lynch and the boys are going to do with that 3rd pick. They didn't jump up to number 3 to get Kyle Pitts. I know that. So the draft will start at that pick. Okay, I'm sorry. I got caught up a little bit. Tiger says, I think Fontenot wants to draft a quarterback, start the transition away from Ryan, but I also think the new head coach wants to draft Pitts because it fits his style and play day one. And here's my thing, Tidy. Hold on, let me go to your next one. It says Roddy, Tony G, Julio, Harry Douglas sounded good too. One playoff win. That's a very good point. Extremely good point. To your point about the Fontenot philosophy, Fontenot is the general manager. General managers, most of the time, usually last longer than head coaches. If I'm Terry Fontenot, and let's think about the important point of view that Terry Fontenot has had as compared to Arthur Smith. Terry Fontenot has been in the New Orleans Saints organization for a long time. So what team do you think, other than the New Orleans Saints, he's probably put his eye on the most in the NFL? It's not going to take a genius for you to figure it out. It's probably the Atlanta Falcons. And out of the Atlanta Falcons, let me tell you something. He has probably watched. He has probably laughed from afar. He's probably sat there and said, why are they doing this? He sat there and said, why are they continue to try to put this square into a round hole? Why are they trying to do this? When I get there, I'm going to give Matt some competition. And I'm going to push Matt because I'm going to let Matt know that despite, yes, some early success, and 5 years ago taking us to the apex of the NFL. Yes, you did. But now it's time to move on. Now it's time to think on the future. We can't live off that 2016 season. Your MVP stats can do nothing about the 4-12 season we had this year. We need more. You got to give us more. My brother Jason, how you doing, brother? Jason out there on the West Coast, loving them Seahawks as he's supposed to. Steve, what is the source of your youth and enthusiasm? Yes, you did mention Russell Wilson, and I apologize because the reason I knew he would call me out on this, because Russell was brought in the 3rd round. They had signed Matt Flynn from Green Bay. But the difference with the Russell situation, Russell actually beat him out in preseason and actually started his first game. So my apologies. My apologies for my Seahawk buddy and my Army buddy who I love to death, man. Good to see you out there, brother Jason. Charles said, so in your opinion, are we trying to win now or trying to win for the future? Charles, I think listen, I don't think any GM is going to sit here and tell you, I am not trying to win. But if you look at 10-6, 7-9, 7-9, 4-12, I took geometry a long time ago. That's what you call a slope. And we're going slowly down that slope. And if you don't do something now to change the trajectory of that and go in the other direction, you're going to see that continuing to go deeper and deeper. And guess what? You'll be back in the top 5 again next year. So to answer your question is, if I don't win this year, Charles, if I don't, it's not going to hurt my feelings because I'm setting those pieces up for future success and future sustained success, not just trying to win 1 year. What good is getting Kyle Pitts if I know Matt Ryan only has a year left in his arm? It does me no good. And let me throw this out at y'all. Don't be shocked. We might get more than one quarterback in this draft. If we draft at number 4 and end up getting a quarterback, don't be shocked if we go down there and sneak and get somebody in the 4th round. We got to get young, y'all. The combined average last year at our quarterback and starting quarterback was 73. I think I had that right. 73, 35, and 4. No, 74. Because Schaub had just turned 40. You got to get younger at that position, folks. Let's go down here. I'm sorry, I'm missing up some of these comments. Y'all are awesome. Charles said, we forgetting one thing. We didn't have a running game too, Steve. Oh, no, I'm not forgetting we didn't have a running game. Not at all. And listen, this is not, contrary to belief, this is not the Kill Matt Ryan show. There's a lot of other aspects to this NFL team other than Matt Ryan. But as I also said before, the quarterback being as polarizing as it is, you're going to get hit with the good and the bad. But it's most of the time, if you have an above average quarterback, he can overcome a lot of deficiencies for you. He can overcome a bad running game. See Aaron Rodgers, see Russell Wilson. They can overcome bad defenses by outscoring the other team. I'm not saying every quarterback can do it. Above average quarterbacks can. Our quarterback is not above average right now. And instead of waiting for him to get to the bottom, let's start replenishing that right now. Sean says probability says we will continue to lose. Probably does. Uh-oh. Turn this back here. What's going on, Michael? How you doing, brother? Good to see you. I hope retirement is treating you well, my friend. Charles, Steve said, let's not forget about our coaching staff. Our offense was not set up for success since Shanahan left. Yeah. Listen, I'll say this, and I'm going to see who's going to answer. I mean, who's going to be truthful to this. We gave Steve Sarkisian a lot of drama his first year. But if you really think about it, Sarkisian's first year matched Shanahan's first year. Our offense wasn't that great Shanahan's first year. It wasn't as historic as it was in 16. And you say the same for Steve Sarkisian. Yeah, Steve Sarkisian he was under the spotlight because Shanahan left. And Sarkisian came in and did not do a great job at all in 2017. Now, unfortunately for the Falcons, that was bad timing because we probably had that was probably the best our defense had played in the last 6 or 7 years, that 2017 season. But our offense couldn't score 20 points. What was it? When we scored 20 points, we won. And we scored less than 20 points, we lost. About an offense that was killing us. So anyway, let's go back to the Sarkisian thing. Kyle Shanahan in 15 couldn't do anything. 2016, great. Next thing you know, Shanahan leaves. Sarkisian, 2017, horrible. Go look at 2018's year. Go back and look at that year. And before y'all just say, "Ugh, Sarkisian," go look at that year and come back and tell me. Come back and tell me what was the difference between Sarkisian 17 to 18 and Shanahan 15 to 16, aside of the fact they went to the Super Bowl. Of course they did. But look at the offense that year that Sarkisian has the second year. Michael said we need a quality running back, but I first want Fields. I can agree with that. Brother Keith, Kellen Mond will be this year's Dak. You heard it here from listen, Keith, you're not gonna surprise me with that one. I think Kellen Mond is gonna be nice. Winston just got to call in. Winston, and I apologize. You probably didn't catch it, Winston. I'm in a different location, as you can kind of see from the background. We will be on Thursday. We will have phones on. Comments are blaring. Phone calls are taking. And a partridge in a pear tree and all that good stuff on Thursday. So I know you probably didn't hear that from the beginning, so I apologize that you didn't catch me. King said Sarkisian was the scapegoat. He did all right. King, I'm trying to tell you, and that's not me trying to take up for him, but I'm trying to say, had we kept Sarkisian in place instead of downgrading to Dirk Cutter, and I know why Sarkisian left, obviously, went to Alabama. But at the same time, if we were able to kind of keep him around, who knows what could have happened. But we immediately let him go. I mean, Rusty says, do you think the second round is too high to draft a running back? Not at all. Quarterback at number 4, then running back second, third through seventh, all defense. That would be my approach. I don't mind that. That's a great philosophy. On a side note, listening to Terry and Arthur's talk is a relief. They seem like X's and O's type of guys. DQ came in and started the slogans immediately, and I haven't heard one corny slogan come out of Arthur or Terry's mouth yet. Let me tell you something, though, real quick. You know what? Let me get this. I'm going to come back to that. Toddy said Sark was a scapegoat. He did a fairly good job, all things considered. And I'm sorry, y'all. Listen, I am way behind. I don't have my regular setup because my setup should be different Thursday. So we'll see. Cross my fingers, hoping things turn out like they're supposed to. Can I say Kevin Lynn said, how old are you? What are y'all talking? Y'all over here dogging each other out. So let me go back to your point when you were talking about Dan Quinn. And it's easy to talk about the person who just got fired. But I will say this. At the end of 2014, you know how sometimes when you go from one regime to another, and then the one thing you always point out is how bad, not how bad, but how things were run. Mike Smith wasn't the rah-rah guy. Mike Smith wasn't I don't think Mike Smith was the player coach guy. I don't think Mike Smith was I'm going to run through the wall for Mike Smith kind of coach. I think Mike Smith was, if plan A says we do plan A, that's what we do. Plan B says we do plan B, that's what we do. So when you shifted from the Mike Smith to Dan Quinn, you were looking for, at that time, though Mike Smith, in retrospect, turned out to give us the best run in franchise history. When you were going from 14 to 15, you were looking for that different guy. You were looking for that relatable guy. I remember them talking about that. How Dan Quinn was rallying around the guys and wanted to be, broham with everybody and all of that. And at the time we were coming off Mike Smith, maybe it was something to that. Easy to look 5 years down the line and say, okay, you were going to have 3 losing seasons, but let's keep it real. The man got us to the Super Bowl, and I know Shanahan was there, but he's still the head coach. The man got us to the Super Bowl in 2 years. Not going to sit here and throw dirt on top of the man's grave already, throw more dirt on top of it. But I'm going to give Dan Quinn his due for 15 and 16 and 17 for that matter. I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend like he wasn't here and all the rah-rah we needed at that time. The rah-rah will get you only so far, though. I think we found out that we need more than just, come on, let's do it. Yeah, rah, you're the man. You need more than that. You almost need probably a healthy balance. Now, the one thing I will say is kind of interesting. Arthur Smith, and we don't know him yet because we just kind of filling him out. Arthur Smith doesn't feel like a rah-rah guy because we just came off of that, and that's not what we wanted. So we're basically going back to the same type of guy we had possibly in Mike Smith. I hope that made sense to me. So it made sense to you. I'm not trying to, again, dog out Dan Quinn all the way because Dan Quinn took us to the Super Bowl. That will always be on his record. There's nothing we can do about that. But when you change coaches, usually you change a personality. So we went from low, even keel Mike Smith to pom-pom wielding Dan Quinn to now what seems like to be even keel Arthur Smith. I guess we'll find out during the season. That's not a bad thing to me. So I'm not going to dog out Quinn for that. I'm not going to dog him out too much. Sean says, piss on the DQ proverbial grave. Yeah, and like I say, we can be like we are against him. I'm still upset at the dude for what he did, but at the same time, hey, we all know. King said Mike Smith didn't have control. And this is true too. Now remember, that was a big deal for Quinn to come over and have player personnel control. And King, back when Smith got hired, that wasn't going on enough. You know who started that trend? Bill Belichick. Remember when Bill came in and Bill had to win first? And then it got to the point where they were like, GM, I got this. As a coach, I can handle both. So when you start becoming that coach and partial GM, which, I mean, he never had the title, but it was clear. Remember how when they had the press conference, Dan Quinn will report to me. Dan Quinn will be part of the player personnel. All of that stuff. Mike Smith didn't have that. You're absolutely right, King. He did not have that at all. Winston says Arthur Smith is more of this. What we are going to do. What are you going to do? Listen. As long as he can teach some players and get us to winning, I'm fine. If I look at the NFC South and let's start looking at it, Tampa Bay is not going to stay on top forever. I don't care. Look, Tom Brady, he might have one more run. I'm not going to deny him that. New Orleans is in flux. Carolina is in flux. Tampa Bay right now have a lot of rented guns. They have some young nucleus, but it was the same young nucleus that was there when Jameis was there. But they elevated that game because their leader elevated them. But this division is far from being a runaway over the next 3 to 5 years. So right now you're trying to beat Carolina to the punch with Sam Darnold, New Orleans to the punch with I really just don't know who. I don't know whether Jameis is the future or not. But New Orleans is going to be looking for their long-term quarterback pretty soon. I have a sneaky suspicion. I got a sneaky suspicion that Russell Wilson is going to end up down there before it's all over with. I don't know why. There's just something telling me that he's going to end up working his way to the NFC South. I don't know. Something just got me. King said, sir, Thursday, Smith looked like he got that killer instinct. Arthur Smith, yeah, I got you. Well, we just need an OC now. Well, he's going to be calling the plays anyway. Dave Ragone is the official OC, but Arthur Smith has made it clear that he's going to call the games. So Tampa was only missing the quarterback. Kevin Lynn, Green Bay did. Let's see. The Eagles aren't even giving Jalen Hurts The star player. I don't know what y'all talking about. Let's see. Charles says Tampa gonna be good. We beat New Orleans twice this year. Titus says, do you think Sean Payton would sell a farm in New Orleans to move up? For man, let me tell you something. Sean, I'm pretty sure Sean Payton has probably even called Terry Fontenot and asked just out of curiosity, what would it take to make that call? I would have told him real quick. I said, we got a quarterback at number 2 that kind of resembles y'all quarterback, a little bit taller. So y'all can take that quarterback off our hands. We'll give you whatever you want. We'll give you whatever you want. Nah, I know Sean Payton. Listen, it wouldn't shock me. Sean Payton seems like somebody that I'm not sure if he's going to hang around a lot longer. I wouldn't be shocked if you see Sean Payton on somebody's TV program pretty soon. I give him about 3 or 4 more years. You heard about the movie that are coming out. Who's playing him? Oh, I hate when I do this. Somebody's supposed to be playing him. Is it Kevin James? Is it Kevin James that's supposed to be playing? Dude from King of Queens? I think they're supposed to be playing him in some TV series, movie, something pretty soon. Sean Payton seems like an entertainer guy to me. So it's really strange. Yeah, it's not going to shake. It's not going to shock me in the least to see Sean Payton want to make a move to come up here and get a quarterback. Listen, folks, it is almost 8 o'clock. I said I was going to get off here about 7:30 tonight. I wanted to catch some of that Hawks game and see if they were going to be able to mess with the Bucks, which they probably won't, but I'm still going to have hope. Listen, Thursday night, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to put it in YouTube. I'm going to put it on Atlanta Bird Gang. Join myself, Tidy, Marcus, Brian, and Nicholas. We will be live on Thursday in Atlanta Bird Gang for draft night. We will be here. Join us. We will have the phone number up, 1-877-747-2346. We will be live. We will be talking to some of our favorites. Y'all make sure, please do us a favor. Tag some other folks, man. We want to make this thing pretty live, man, and do this thing up right. If they cannot get into the group, tell them they can always go to YouTube, Uncle Steve's Sports Lounge. Uncle Steve's Sports Lounge. I will be live simulcasting. We will be simulcasting on the same link. So join us for live reaction from the draft. Join us as you will get raw, unadulterated bedlam from all of us. We will be there to let you know how we feel about the Falcons pick. We'll break it down. We'll look at some other teams' picks and see what they do. Join us that night. It ought to be pretty fun, man. Hopefully they don't make a lot of trades and we can have a lot to talk about and talk about our future quarterback here in Atlanta, Georgia. But until then, listen, y'all have a great night. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for joining the Atlanta Bird Gang. We will catch y'all Thursday. I'm pretty sure I'll be on one day during the week. We'll catch y'all Thursday at 7:30. Don't forget, Thursday night, 7:30 for the draft. We will see y'all then. Thank y'all for joining us. Y'all take care. Have a great night. Have a blessed day.